Time now for my final thought. At the beginning of the show, we highlighted the story of Calvin Bright. He was released from prison after spending 25 years behind bars for a crime he says he didn't commit. New evidence helped his lawyer negotiate a deal for his release. He's now out of prison and looking forward to his new life. And while you and I will never know what happened the night Tammy Paye and William Ramsey were killed in 1994, we do know that there are a number of men and women in prison convicted of crimes they didn't commit. It's estimated that the wrongful conviction rate in this country is anywhere between 2 and 10%. To put that into perspective, that's anywhere between 46,000 and more than 200,000 people. The Innocence Project, which works to help those wrongly convicted, points to bad police work, prosecutorial misconduct, and false confessions as a few of the reasons for wrongful convictions in this country. Our system is not perfect, and unfortunately, innocent people get tangled in the crosshairs every day. Thankfully, new technology is helping to exonerate innocent men and women, but we have a responsibility to push for a fair system that is equal to everyone from the start. Sloppy, rushed investigations should never cost someone their life or allow a killer to get away. That's going to do it for us tonight. From all of us here at the Q&A, good night.